Welcome to Anger Me Production again. Today we're just going to talk about something that we've been going over a lot in our other episodes. It's more or less parenting. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because, not that I feel there's a lot of people out there that don't know how to parent. It's one of those subjects. It's a very touchy subject because sometimes there's people out there that don't have a clue, and they either overparent or they don't parent enough.
Well, that's a really fine line to try to draw, overparenting or not parenting enough. I mean, I would say the not parenting enough is a harder line to draw than the overparenting. Because if you're practically sitting on your kid 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they're not going to learn. But if you're not there to guide them at the same time, they're going to learn things that may not...
Put that mic a little bit closer to you. Just put it on. It's really close. There you go.
Now we got to start over.
No, we don't. Just keep on going. I'll edit it. I can edit it.
But anyways, you're either hovering over them, preventing them from learning important lessons about life, or you're not providing enough education toward the things they need to know.
Well, if you go off of the whole, it takes a village, it really does take a village, because you can only go so far. Nowadays we have abundance of information coming from the internet, but Facebook and everything like that, when you're trying to raise a child and they have friends on there and they're talking with them, and it's really just it really is a whole different world. You got internet world and you got the real world. And a lot of people don't understand is the real world is a lot different than this world, than the internet world. Because, you have people out there that want to say, oh, you're not raising your... There's an issue with a lot of people with... they'll just blatantly troll people. Oh, you shouldn't treat your child like that. I can't believe you're letting your child wear that. And you're on social media. But in the real world, those people wouldn't say anything in the real world.
Well, I think you're talking more about the critics of people trying to parent than we are, at that point, than we are about the actual parent. Because, yes, the internet gives people a degree of freedom to speak their mind that they wouldn't feel otherwise free enough to say so, because they would have to deal with that person on a regular daily basis. Whereas when you're on the internet, you don't necessarily have to deal with the person all the time.
Yeah.
But on the same token, a lot of things that are being said are both points to take note of and things that you should completely say, I need to understand the factual basis behind what they're saying, if there is one, before I go believing them.
Well, there's also the basic fact of going out, and a lot of people, what they don't want to do is understand their own child.
Well, and that's what I was fixing to say, as far as the fine line in parenting, a lot of people make, like you were saying, the mistake of being either too far to one side or the other. They don't give their child enough freedom to learn, but they also don't provide them, or either or, they don't provide them with adequate information to learn. You expect them to learn your biases or your beliefs rather than providing adequate information for that. You might as well call them a young adult, because by the time they reach the age of 10, they're already developing ideas of how they see the world.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to give them accurate information without biases, In other words, if you're one of those people that thinks, "Oh, no, that's dirty. You can't look at that. You should be ashamed for thinking." Well, maybe there's some things that a person should be ashamed for thinking, but maybe there's a lot of things that society itself, everybody's walking around thinking those things while they look at all the other people and they're just not saying it because they've been told all their life that's a bad thing.
Well, you also got social, depending on what part of the world you're in. Like, if you're in Afghanistan, having a little girl learn anything from books or learn, period, like mathematics, stuff like that. When I was I was actually talking to a not security forces, but a SOF, special forces operator, who was working in Afghanistan at the time, and they were doing humanitarian work, and he was trying to get humanitarian aid, just people giving like books, paper, and everything like that. Well, there's one lady that just said, "Hey, just give these to the little girl." At first, I was like, "Well, that's kind of ridiculous," and then I realized, because of that part of the world, females or little girls are not allowed to have that stuff because they're not supposed to learn anything other than cooking and cleaning. And we have first world problems where people believe, hey, everybody has a chance. Everybody has this. I was like, there's parts of the world that no one has chances.
But even with our first world problems, we still have parents teaching their children biases like, oh, this is wrong because this book says so. Don't believe this way because this and this. You should believe what I tell you.
You even got places like there was a school in California that was teaching pedophilia was a sexual orientation. I was like, whoa. Well, no, it's not. It's very, very evil.
I can definitely agree. I mean, but I would tend to argue that really does depend on where you draw the line as pedophilia.
No.
Follow with me here. Because, like in places like California, as you were referring to, they're going to call a 26-year-old woman with a 50-year-old man pedophilia.
Okay.
Because of the age gap, not because of...
Yeah, but still, in all hindsight, a person that's 18, me, it's like 25. I don't even go any lower than that.
I don't need to be raising any more kids. I mean, we're talking about the whole parenting thing and that aspect.
I have friends like, oh, I got me an 18-year-old woman. I'm like, no, you got a little girl. Until I actually talk with her and everything and understand what her mental cap is, yeah. Because I've actually talked to some 18-year-olds and they are there's some close to 40-year-olds that
never made it past 15.
Never made it past 15. And I'm like, and they're like, and they'll call me out. It's like, oh, you're not responsible. You're still a child. And I was like,
yeah, and I think,
no, you don't even know me, so you don't even understand me.
And I think that an encounter with one of those such individuals is probably what prompted us to be here talking to a degree about parenting, and you have to point them in the right direction and give them love, but you can't be overbearing about it. Yeah. I guarantee you
can't put your needs over your children's needs, because their needs probably be different than yours. Because you might have a super intelligent kid, and you are still a person that has to have a job that doesn't. I mean, you won't be able to understand your child. But as long as there was a movie, Sean Penn did it. I can't remember the name of it, but he was a mentally challenged person to where I think he probably only had like 60 IQ, but his kid that he was raising had an IQ of probably 160. Mm-hmm. We'll just go with that. And the child was literally trying to dumb herself down so she can stay with her father.
But
And I've actually seen a kid do that to where the parent wasn't intelligent enough to take care of the child, really.
I don't really think I have much room to talk.
Well, okay. There's a lot of basis of raising a child. One, talk to your child. There's people out there that won't even do that.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to answer their questions, because
Yeah.
even if you feel like it's a taboo subject, don't just say to them, "Oh, that's an adult thing," because all that's going to do for the child.
There's a couple of things I'll say that with, but
But
not much.
No, you should never say that to a child, because that's only going to make the child think in their mind, "How do I hurry up and become an adult?"
Yeah. Well,
You're-
my daughter already has it. It's like, I don't want to be an adult. I really don't. I've already seen, and she's intelligent enough to where she sees the struggle that me and my ex-wife are having, not raising our child, but with the life problems. And I've asked her, it's like, do you really want to, be an adult? You should be. You can't wait to do all this. It's like, no. I mean, my own daughter is like, yeah. I understand that my mom and dad are very childish, and most of the time I have to be the adult. But in hindsight, she's understanding enough to where she's like, but they're good parents. I mean, she's gone on threads of Reddit of other people's kids and everything. She's like, I'd have it made. She literally understands to the point where she knows she has a good family, a good loving family.
Right. But that's always the most important thing.
Yeah.
But you can't take things like pushing bullying under the carpet, or if your kid asks a question about sexual orientation, you can't impose your personal beliefs directly upon that child. You have to provide them with information, and that information has to be unbiased information.
And ask questions. Not ask questions like a douchebag. Ask questions like you're investigating reason why your child thinks this way.
Or
sometimes you just come up with another family member said something like this and they think that's the right cue.
right. Or they heard it from a friend, or because they're going to get that information whether you think it's taboo or not. They're going to get their hands on that information. And you telling them, "Oh no, that's an adult thing," rather than sitting down and saying, "All right, can we ask you a few questions? Why do you want to know this? What do you want to know about it? What can I tell you?"
Yeah, I almost slapped my child because she told me that Santa Claus wasn't real. I didn't know what to do with the information. I cried a little bit. I was in the corner wondering why the world has destroyed me like this, but in the long run, she's a liar, pants on fire, and I don't believe what she said.
Well, you can believe that. I told my kids that Santa Claus was a psychopathic serial stalker.
I hate you right now. I really hate you.
And they said, "How do I figure that?" And I says, "Well, it's all in the words to the song. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good."
All right, stop before a kid comes up and has to ask their parent why reason why we're that crazy.
I also told them if I ever saw him on the roof of the house, we were going to have reindeer burgers.
And that's two different parenting styles. One finds out that Santa Claus isn't real, and one tells his kids Santa Claus isn't real.
Oh no, I never said he wasn't real. I said he was evil.
But we're close friends, and we have different opinions on how to raise children, but usually it's met up really close, and
we both have agreeing lines that kind of mesh with societal values in that we want our children to be able to function in society and not do things that are going to cause harm to themselves or others.
Yeah, like when you're at a gas station and someone asks you to watch their kid while they go inside and you don't even know that person. That freaks me out.
That's really bad parenting.
Yeah.
Or just as bad as, the person who leaves their kid and their dog locked in the car with the windows cracked a quarter of an inch when it's 180 degrees outside to go inside to Winn-Dixie and go grocery shopping.
It's not that bad. I mean, that's survival skills right there. I mean, how do you think I learned how to hotwire a car? I mean, some parenting skills, sometimes you gotta, test their survival skill.
No.
You take them out in the country, you hand them a compass, a K-bar knife, and you drive off.
I honestly think my dad would have tried that if my mom would not have just flipped out.
Yeah. That was parenting 101 back in the 80s. I still like that one John Wayne movie. Do you not know how to swim? All right. Tosses the kid in the lake. Figure it out later. Where's my son? I tossed him in the lake. He tried. He said he didn't know how to swim. He doesn't know how to swim. Yeah. Well, if he comes back, you figure it out.
Now, note that he had.
That was. When did that? I think that stopped like in the 80s. Apparently, that was.
Note to be had. Neither one of us technically agree with that parenting style, but on the same token,
technically, he hasn't heard me talk to my daughter of that type of parenting skill. I would never do that by law.
No. See, he is joking to a degree, and yes, we would both do that whole figure it out on your own routine.
I've done the figuring out on your own on certain things.
But throwing your kid into a pool of water and then walking off, I wouldn't do that, although I would encourage them to go out and I would observe to make sure, if they sink, I can at least pull them out. But on the same token, throwing them in and doing the same, observing to make sure they don't sink to the bottom.
I don't know. My daughter could probably pass through SEER training. And SEER is survival environment. God, I don't even know. I know the acronym. I just don't know what the whole thing's called.
But
it's survival training basically. They also do survival, evasion, capture.
SEER.
I know one.
I don't remember
we'll
what
just
the
go over
acronym
that. Yeah,
stands
I'll
for.
figure it out and put it in the description.
But anyways, yes, we can joke all day long about it, and some of our jokes are kind of serious, kind of not. But the reality of the fact is we're not the kind of parents that believe abandoning our child in a situation that could kill them is a bad thing, or is a good thing. My brain's a little wiry loosed here, so you get what I'm trying to say.
You don't hand your child like a metal fork and tell them to go play with the light socket.
Not unless I'm standing there with them.
I didn't think about that one. Man, you cleared about 4 or 5 yards on that one. You want to do that again? You're going back and get. Well, I guess I don't have to worry about paying for college.
Nah, because I've stuck a fork in the outlet. The only thing it does is get really, really hot and then blow the breaker.
In that place, I've seen some people that were trying to. They were teaching me electrical work, and they're like, "Here, just do this, and you can't turn off the power." And you're supposed to turn off all power before you work on a line. I've tried to freaking work this line, and I'm okay. It's good. I electrocuted myself so many times. I was working all that electrician.
Yeah. I think the only time I've ever done it is when some dumbass came behind me and either wired something so fucked up that there were hot wires where there shouldn't be, or somebody came behind me and turned the switches on after I turned them off.
Yeah. Well, another idea of the whole reason why I wanted to do this one was because of Trials of Gabriel Francisco on Netflix, and they treated that kid horribly. I'm talking horribly, to the point. Well, he died at age 8, and I watched about 30 minutes of it, trying to figure out how these people can do that. No, they're just monsters. People that actually treat their. I mean, they literally fed their kid kitty litter. Not because they couldn't afford food, it's just because they wanted to torture them. There's people out there that do that. And I'm not saying there's people in our society, in our friend circle and everything, that do that, but they've come close. And I'll report them, and it would be a fine line. Someone would have to pull me aside where I don't beat them the fuck to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't handle well with anybody mistreating a child, especially if you go with the fact that a kid doesn't really understand until
a kid doesn't understand because they don't have enough information in front of them, and they always process information.
Another one was Child with No Name. I read that book. Oh my god, I didn't.
They always process information in the most innocent way possible.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense at all. You tell them, this is a secret, don't tell anybody. They're going to do one of two things. They're either going to have rationalized in their mind that it's bad to keep secrets because you told them that at another point in time, and then they're going to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Or
I don't.
You will never hear a word because they're innocent about the way they think most of the time. You don't find a child that is malicious 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, it's usually because of the parents are malicious to their child.
Right.
It's also the basic fact of kids that actually don't trust anybody, only because their parent has told them so many times they were going to do something for that child and it doesn't end up. It literally crushes my soul whenever I tell my child, hey, we're going to go out and do something. This year, I actually started having the money to go out and do something like that, and we had this virus, so we couldn't even go do that.
Yeah, I know.
If I say I'm going to do something for a child, I'll do it. Hands down. If it costs me an arm and a leg, it costs me an arm and a leg. And I'll do it. If I say I'm going to be somewhere to do something, I'll be there. And the flip side of that is there's sometimes I wish I could do something with my child or with just helping out other kids, and I just can't do it. Hell, it freaked me out that one time when we were at a park and this little kid was like, hey, will you push me? I was like, no. I'm not doing that. I'm not touching another person's kid I don't know. So I was like, well, you two are pretty much the same age. Y'all go ahead and play with each other. Just hang out, talk with each other and everything like that, and y'all make new friends. Okay, that's perfectly fine. But I'm not touching another person's kid unless they're like, if it's like life and death situation.
Well, see,
I don't feel I'll talk to a kid.
I agree with you on that aspect, but if the kid's guardian is there, and I'm there pushing my kid, and their guardian says, "Hey, could you go ahead and push my kid too?"
Yeah, I totally do.
I've done that before. But if it's just some random kid
course,
with nobody out there watching
Of course, after that, I'm also thinking, why the fuck are you not pushing your own goddamn kid?
my only thought was ever, all right, I'm already here.
Yeah. My thought is just, why are you playing with your kid? Oh, you're talking with your friends.
Oh, you're looking at your phone.
Yeah.
You think it's more important than verifying the physical safety of your child.
That still pisses me off to this day, that woman doing that. I mean, she literally creeped up. I felt creeped. I was like, oh my God. Then I just finally just went up to her. I was like, man, are you having a problem with me? Oh, no. I was like, okay, you should. Honestly. Because I would have a problem with you if I was if the revolts were reversed. But I would also come up and talk to you like a regular human being and not be a douchebag like you're being right now. I can't understand. There's people out there that you just go out and you can actually, if you can't conversate with another human being in life, find someone that can. Because in all reality, I'm not giving you the answers of how to parent.
Nobody has the answer.
No one has a parent. Knows how to be a great parent.
If a child was born with a handbook attached to them, you still wouldn't know everything you need to know.
You would flat out screw it up. How can you say that? Well, I forgot to read page 3. I skipped a couple of pages. I basically summarized the whole book, and
Page 3 was this long-winded mathematical formula that I didn't understand. What do you mean it was a long-winded mathematical formula that you didn't understand? Well, it said mix blah 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 with 4 times pi divided by r squared to the third. And by the time I got to the third half of that equation, I gave up.
I don't even do tutorials on video games. How am I going to do a tutorial on a child? And that's another thing is the people that actually make a lot of money teaching you how to raise a kid. It's a racket. It really is.
And I disagree with a lot of the crap that they teach because
most of those people don't even have kids.
Yes, and as experience from someone who has had kids, I've learned that each child is different.
And here's the basic rules on raising a kid. Teaching them to respect people.
Teach them self-respect.
Teach them self-respect. Teach them if the bully is trying to get after you, snap their neck, find a good place to hide the body, and make sure you're not the bully. The biggest thing I'll tell my daughter this, and a lot of people get upset about it. I was like, listen, if you go out through life and a person's an asshole to you, and you don't see anybody that's an asshole to you all throughout the day, that guy was an asshole. If you go out and everybody's being an asshole to you, you're the asshole. Stop being an asshole.
Yeah. and you know, back to that, whole bully thing. I honestly think that comes from the parents not teaching that child a combination of respect others and self-respect.
Yeah, you can get a lot with a backhand, but don't overdo it.
And some children, a backhand isn't going to work on you. You hit them, they're just going to turn their head. If you drew blood, they're going to spit it out. They're going to look at you, and they're going to go right back to what they were doing.
That's where a lobotomy comes into play.
No, that's where you change your disciplinary tactics.
Yeah, into a lobotomy. Or shock therapy. You escalate that shit.
Okay. I can't disagree with shock therapy, but at the same time, I can't agree with it. Because, for me, I've been shocked enough times to know that shocking wouldn't work. I'd be just going, that's neat.
I play around with those dog shock collars, and I actually I was just like, Dave, are you trying to teach him a lesson? Yeah, not to hand me the remote.
I find it even more humorous when you walk into like a gas station or someplace that sells those toy pins that when you push the thing,
they
it shock the hell.
yeah.
I'll pick it up and I go, bzz, 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 and then hand it to the person next to me. I don't think it works.
Yeah. I
They end up flicking it across the gas
What's our time
station.
frame around this? I gotta go do stuff today. Okay, we got a couple more minutes. We can cut it right here. I mean,
We
the-
pretty much
the whole
said what we
base
were
is-
trying to say
Yeah.
is, if you think your kid is having problems, take a good look at yourself and how you're dealing with them before.
well, on something like that though, there's certain, now there's certain things to look out for. Like if your kid mutilates animals or is very, very cruel, maybe it's
Take
a good
them
idea
for
to
therapy.
and even then you're still not. Most of the time, it's overbearingness that causes problems like that, or it could be they could be screwed up from the get go. But
Well-
don't think your kid is screwed up and having to. Just try to talk to your kid, and
yeah,
there's some serial killers that had great family life and everything. Sometimes the kids just fucked up.
true. You cannot discredit the fact that sometimes it's just the kid's a little off or a lot off. But, most generally, if you're having a problem with that kid that won't resolve itself, why don't you look at the way you're handling the problem or look at the way you're dealing with the kid before you look any further at what the kid's doing?
Yeah.
Because if you can reason that everything you're doing is right and the kid is still doing wrong, well, then you're obviously not getting your message across.
Yeah. But there's also. You also have. Man, I lost my train of thought. I had a good one too. Messed that up totally.
It was a steam-powered locomotive, or was it one of the big old diesels?
It was a diesel.
And you just lost it.
Well, there's also the fact that there's parents out there that they second guess themselves. There's like, oh, I'm being a horrible parent because I don't do this, or I don't give my. It was like, nah, boundaries. Boundaries is another thing that a lot of people don't do with their kids. And setting boundaries is a good thing.
I think second guessing yourself.
Small boundaries, not like huge boundaries.
Right.
Second guesses, you're human.
Right. I think second guessing yourself is probably the most intelligent thing you can do,
Now,
as long as you're aware that that's what you're doing. As long as you're aware that you're saying, okay, what are my options and how do I pursue these options?
Because now, if they're robbing a bank and doing kind of other stuff on the side, yeah, you can probably crack it up.
Don't be one of those loving parents that would hide their kid in the basement and say, my son didn't do anything wrong. Turn them in.
Oh, God. There's so many parents that are like that. I mean, in hindsight, yeah, I kind of was like,
no,
you did what? No.
I would love to be able to say, my kid's perfect. But, people are people. I haven't met a perfect person yet.
Yeah, that's true.
And any parent that wants to sit there and say, my kid's perfect, they would never do that, has obviously never met their kid.
Yeah. Would you believe your kid did this? There's certain times me and my ex-wife talked, it was like, can you believe your daughter said this? Yeah, I've met her. Apparently she's too much like her father. She's a weirdo. Awesome. There's a lot less parenting I have to do because I already know what to do. Should I do this? No, you'll get caught. What makes you think that? Because you're not smart enough for that. I think I'm going to get away with this. You're not.
Don't ever think I'm going to get away with this.
Then you won't get away with it.
If you look at prison, that's where all of the people that are in prison, that's how they got there. They thought, I'll get away with it.
Yeah. They'll never catch me.
I'm right because I have to survive and they won't catch me, so I'll get away with it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, That's it on this one. I made it a little bit short this time. I mean, in all reality, I could just start this thing. We're going to talk about parenting. It sucks. End of story. Later.
Or we could have made it longer too. You know, we've probably both got all of those crackpot hand manuals where we could go through them page by page and say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this.
Yeah.
This is the author's name. Don't buy anything from them.
But the self-help, the self-parenting books, it's a racket. I mean, you might find like one gem, but you could do that just by going to the store and just flipping through it sometimes.
Or even
most of those
worse,
people don't even have kids. It's just going to statistics.
or even worse, doing what our parents really probably never did properly, contacting other people with kids and actually spending time with them to understand.
No, my parents did that.
What they do versus what you do.
Yeah, don't let them walk around in a puddle with the down power line. Apparently, that's a bad idea. But I made 2 more. All right, people. Well, thank you for watching. We're still on social media. If we actually have people that are actually watching this, go check us out. Angry Me Production. Just type it in. You can type it in Google. You'll get the stuff. But type it in there. We'll put some stuff on those. And if you have any comments down below, go ahead and subscribe if you want.
We're always open for new conversation ideas because
we had that one conversation with the sex robot one.
Uh-huh.
A guy was like, that's the reason why I get me a sex robot, so I don't have to pay child support and I don't have to father a person and accidental pregnancies and everything. I was like, and I was like, yeah, I forgot to say something on that one.
No, we went too far down the other left field rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Michael Moffitt.
And this is Angry Me Productions. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.